It was supposed to be a standard political debate, just another night of speeches, applause, and polite disagreements. But what unfolded on live television would spark a firestorm no one could have predicted. The event was called the Future of America Summit, a glitzy, highly anticipated gathering that brought together some of the biggest names in American politics, business, and media. It wasn't just a debate, it was a statement, a televised spectacle designed to shape national conversations and sway public opinion. Held in a massive auditorium in Washington, D.C., the stage was sleek and futuristic, bathed in patriotic reds, whites, and blues. Banners with buzzwords like unity, progress, reform hung from the ceiling. A-listers filled the front row. Reporters from every major outlet were present, and millions of viewers were glued to their screens at home, watching with curiosity, skepticism, and for some, hope. The debate topic: who shapes tomorrow, policy or power? The audience expected fireworks, yes, but nothing like the explosion that was about to happen. On one side of the stage stood former President Donald Trump. Towering, confident, and unapologetically combative, Trump was never one to hold back his words. Even after leaving the White House, he remained a dominant force in the Republican Party and a polarizing figure across the country. For his supporters, he was a truth-teller. For his critics, a disruptor. But everyone agreed on one thing: when Trump speaks, the room listens. Seated opposite him was Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. A first-term representative from Texas, Jasmine had quickly earned a reputation for her powerful speeches, sharp logic, and unwavering advocacy for marginalized communities. She didn't rise through backroom deals or political families. She earned her seat through grit, grassroots campaigning, and connecting with everyday Americans. The contrast between the two couldn't have been more striking. He was the seasoned showman with decades of controversy behind him. She was the fresh face of progressive politics, armed with facts and fearless fire. The debate began smoothly enough. Opening statements were delivered. The moderator asked thoughtful questions. There was back and forth over immigration, economic inequality, and national security. Trump made his usual boasts about past successes. Jasmine countered with statistics and calls for reform. The crowd applauded at regular intervals. But as the topic shifted to racial justice and equity, the tone began to shift. Jasmine spoke passionately about the systemic challenges faced by black communities, in housing, healthcare, education, and law enforcement. Her voice didn't tremble. Her eyes didn't wander. She was calm, composed, and commanding. Trump, however, began to shift in his seat. His signature frown deepened. He interrupted once, then again, and then a third time. He rolled his eyes. He smirked. And then, it happened. College professors in gender studies and political science invited discussions around the deeper implications. Murals popped up in cities like Atlanta, Houston, and Brooklyn featuring Jasmine's quotes painted in bold letters. "We rise higher, we speak louder, and we become stronger. This is what standing up looks like." Protest signs carried her words in marches for women's rights, voting access, and racial justice. Posters appeared in coffee shops and community centers. Her face became a symbol, not of defiance for defiance's sake, but of poised, purposeful resistance. America wasn't just reacting. It was reflecting. Questions surfaced on talk shows and op-ed columns. Why are strong women still seen as threats? Why does confidence from women of color get twisted into arrogance or hostility? Why did Jasmine's calm defiance feel like such a revolution, when it should be normal? For many, it highlighted a truth long understood but rarely acknowledged so publicly. That power still makes people uncomfortable when it wears heels, carries natural hair, and speaks with both grace and grit. Trump's team scrambled to contain the fallout. A campaign spokesperson called the remark a misunderstood phrase, and claimed there was no disrespect intended. But it didn't land. The clip was clear, the tone unmistakable, the smirk unforgettable, and the truth undeniable. Words matter. Tone matters. So does intention, and impact. Jasmine Crockett didn't just clap back. She did something far more lasting. She reframed the conversation. She didn't meet disrespect with disrespect. She didn't shout. She didn't storm off. She didn't stoop to insults, because she didn't need to. She responded with intelligence, integrity, and a calm force that cut deeper than any outburst ever could. In that moment, she embodied a new kind of leadership, one rooted in empathy, courage, and moral clarity. A leadership that doesn't just react to the moment, but redefines it. And that's why the country couldn't stop talking about her. Because Jasmine Crockett didn't just win a moment. She created momentum. She spoke for millions. She stood for truth. And in doing so, she didn't just rise above a petty insult. She rose into history. Jasmine Crockett did something far more powerful. She didn't react immediately. She didn't flinch or frown or roll her eyes. Instead, she waited. She let the silence stretch. She let the weight of his words hang in the air long enough for everyone to feel their full impact. Then, with the calm precision of a chess master about to deliver checkmate, Jasmine leaned forward. She adjusted her microphone slowly, deliberately, as if to say, "I've been waiting for this." And when she began to speak, her voice wasn't raised. It wasn't angry. It was something far more powerful. It was controlled, calm, and commanding. In that moment, she wasn't just speaking as a politician. She was speaking as a black woman who had heard phrases like that her entire life, and had risen in spite of them. She was speaking for every woman who had been told to be quiet, stay in her lane, or know her place. The audience held their breath. No one interrupted. No one dared, because they could feel it. This wasn't going to be just another soundbite. This was going to be a moment people would replay. Quote, "Teach." Jasmine Crockett didn't just clap back. She took control of the room. And what she said next, the words that followed, would leave America stunned, moved, and forever changed. Jasmine didn't blink. She didn't flinch. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't meet rudeness with rage. Instead, she leaned forward, with the poise of a leader, the calm of a seasoned strategist, and the fire of generations behind her. She adjusted her mic with care, not rush, letting the silence do its job, letting the weight of the moment settle like dust in a still room. Then, she spoke. Her voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the room like a blade. "Mr. Trump, I was elected to sit here, to speak here, and to stand up for millions of Americans who've been told to sit down their whole lives." The audience collectively inhaled. You could hear it, that sharp intake of breath from hundreds of people who knew they were witnessing history unfold in real time. Every camera zoomed in. Every phone in the audience lifted. Live streams surged. Millions of people tuned in at home leaned forward in their chairs. Jasmine didn't look away. Her eyes locked on Trump, steady, unafraid. Not with anger, but with clarity. "And let me say this clearly," she continued, her tone unwavering. "Every single time someone like you tells a woman like me to sit down, we rise higher, we speak louder, and we become stronger." There it was, a truth that had been aching to be said for decades, now echoing in a hall filled with power brokers, cameras, and the heavy shadows of history. That was the moment the dam broke. Applause erupted, not polite claps, but thunderous, spontaneous, full-bodied applause. People rose to their feet, some gasped, others simply nodded, stunned by the quiet brilliance of her comeback. But Jasmine wasn't finished. She let the applause wash over her, but she didn't ride it like a wave. She waited until it faded, and then delivered the final blow. "I represent the people," she said, her voice now rising with intention. "And the people are done being silenced. We are done being dismissed. We are done being talked down to by men who think power is about volume." She paused, not for effect, but for gravity. "We're not sitting down. We're claiming our space, our voice, and our power. And we're not going anywhere." The auditorium exploded. The applause this time was deafening. Cheers, whistles, claps, chants. Even some of Trump's usual supporters couldn't help but acknowledge the sheer brilliance of what they had just witnessed. No shouting, no name-calling, just truth, delivered with steel in her spine and fire in her soul. And still, Jasmine didn't gloat. She didn't throw insults. She didn't need to. Because this was a mic drop moment. And she never even had to lift the mic from the stand. A single response. And the entire debate shifted. The narrative changed. A new voice had stepped into the spotlight, and America was listening. The moment hit the internet like a lightning strike. Within minutes, the clip of Jasmine Crockett's comeback was everywhere, splashed across news channels, playing in slow motion on YouTube reaction videos, clipped for Instagram reels, cut into rapid-fire edits on TikTok. Political pundits replayed it frame by frame, analyzing her tone, her words, her composure. The debate had ended, but the real conversation had just begun. Cable news went into overdrive. CNN called it the moment that redefined the debate. MSNBC dubbed it the soundbite that shattered the silence. Even Fox News, while attempting to spin the narrative, couldn't ignore the cultural magnitude. Headlines flooded the media landscape. Crockett's comeback breaks the internet. Trump's comment sparks national firestorm. Sit down, girl backfires spectacularly. A new political star is born on live TV. Within hours, the clip had racked up millions of views. On TikTok alone, the hashtag Jasmine Crockett surged past 20 million views. Teens, grandmothers, office workers, everyone was talking about it. And it wasn't just what she said. It was how she said it. Calmly, powerfully, and without stooping to insults. Celebrities joined the wave of praise. Viola Davis tweeted, "That's how you own the room. Well done, Jasmine." Kerry Washington posted a story saying, "That was for every black woman who's ever been told to shrink herself. She didn't, and we won't." Even Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, no stranger to viral political moments, chimed in. A masterclass in dignity under fire. Take notes. Academics began calling the exchange a textbook example of grace under pressure. Professors uploaded it to political science lectures. Journalists debated whether it marked a turning point in public discourse. Editorials questioned if this moment would redefine how candidates, especially women of color, are treated in televised politics. And yet, in the middle of all the buzz, praise, interviews, and viral heat, Jasmine stayed silent. No press tour, no retweet storm, no gloating victory lap. She didn't need to fan the flames. She'd already lit the spark. Instead, hours after the debate, she posted just one line. No hashtags, no emojis, just words. "This is what standing up looks like." That tweet alone garnered hundreds of thousands of likes. It was retweeted by public figures, quoted on protest signs, and turned into desktop wallpapers and t-shirts within days. And people noticed something else too. Her silence was loud. While pundits yelled over each other on primetime panels, Jasmine Crockett chose stillness. It wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. It was strategic. It was commanding. She didn't need to prove she had won. Everyone already knew. Even within conservative circles, some were quietly conceding defeat. One former GOP strategist said on a late-night panel, "You don't have to agree with her politics to admit she handled that moment better than 99% of politicians would have." Trump may have made a serious mistake tonight. Another added, "He gave her a national spotlight, and she didn't waste a second of it." And indeed, he had. But what Jasmine Crockett had done with that spotlight, she didn't just speak. She claimed space. She made a statement that resonated far beyond the debate stage. It wasn't just about her. It was about every person who's been belittled, sidelined, underestimated, and chose, instead of retreating, to rise. And as the clip continued to circulate, her words still echoing in America's collective mind, one thing became clear. She didn't just win a moment. She started a movement. This wasn't just a viral moment. It was a cultural turning point. Long after the applause faded and the cameras stopped rolling, the echo of Jasmine Crockett's words continued to ring in homes, classrooms, offices, and communities across the country. It wasn't just that she had stood her ground, it was how she had done it. Calmly, intelligently, without rage, yet with undeniable power. And the world noticed. Women, especially black women, took to social media by the millions. Not just to cheer for Jasmine, but to share their own stories, being talked over in meetings, told to smile more, labeled aggressive for being assertive, or dismissed with phrases like, "Calm down, you're being dramatic," or, "Yes, sit down, girl." In those 3 words from Trump, so many women heard echoes of things they'd been told their entire lives. It wasn't just political, it was personal. One viral tweet read, "Jasmine didn't just speak for herself. She spoke for every black woman who's ever been told she's too much for daring to speak with conviction." Educators began incorporating the moment into lesson plans. Government teachers played the debate clip in high school civics classes. College professors in gender studies and political science invited discussions around the deeper implications. Murals popped up in cities like Atlanta, Houston, and Brooklyn featuring Jasmine's quotes painted in bold letters. "We rise higher, we speak louder, and we become stronger." Protest signs carried her words in marches for women's rights, voting access, and racial justice. Posters appeared in coffee shops and community centers. Her face became a symbol, not of defiance for defiance's sake, but of poised, purposeful resistance. America wasn't just reacting, it was reflecting. Questions surfaced on talk shows and op-ed columns. Why are strong women still seen as threats? Why does confidence from women of color get twisted into arrogance or hostility? Why did Jasmine's calm defiance feel like such a revolution, when it should be normal? For many, it highlighted a truth long understood but rarely acknowledged so publicly. That power still makes people uncomfortable when it wears heels, carries natural hair, and speaks with both grace and grit. Trump's team scrambled to contain the fallout. A campaign spokesperson called the remark a misunderstood phrase, and claimed there was no disrespect intended. But it didn't land. The clip was clear, the tone unmistakable, the smirk unforgettable, and the truth undeniable. Words matter. Tone matters. So does intention and impact. Jasmine Crockett didn't just clap back. She did something far more lasting. She reframed the conversation. She didn't meet disrespect with disrespect. She didn't shout. She didn't storm off. She didn't stoop to insults, because she didn't need to. She responded with intelligence, integrity, and a calm force that cut deeper than any outburst ever could. In that moment, she embodied a new kind of leadership, one rooted in empathy, courage, and moral clarity. A leadership that doesn't just react to the moment, but redefines it. And that's why the country couldn't stop talking about her. Because Jasmine Crockett didn't just win a moment. She created momentum. She spoke for millions. She stood for truth. And in doing so, she didn't just rise above a petty insult. She rose into history.